in the contract. I just want people to know us. For more than what's going on out here on the corner. You, Jamal, all of us deserve more. I want to show them. I'm going to show him that we got more. We got more than that.
You know, you got to come see Lyrics because it's for the culture, it's for the people, it's for hip hop music fans. You're going to love it. It's a great story. Even if you just love theater, you need to come see this show.
One time for your mom, one time.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What Words Are Worth. And today I got a dope playwright, director, public speaker, and producer. Goes by the name of Winston A. Wilson. He's originally from Jamaica and raised in New York. Winston is a St. John's University, New York, Kennesaw State University, and Georgia graduate. Winston speaks about his creativity, how it helps him battle his autoimmune disease, multiple sclerosis, and how this can help others battling through life. So we're going to get to catch up with Winston about his dope play that he's written called Lyrics. Like I said, phenomenal playwright, Winston A. Wilson.
Hello, brother. Hello, everybody out there in the world. I am so jazzed to be having to talk to you today, not only about what I got going on, but about my lifelong love of our culture and our music. So
Yes.
brother.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on here and giving another perspective of what it's like to do what you're doing. I believe what you're doing and what you're working on and everything is what's going on now, but also the future of where hip hop is going. And what me reading about it and what you've crafted is so it's of now, but it's timeless because it's gonna have consistently people coming from the community that need to watch this play.
Yeah, thank you so much. When I was thinking about this play, and I've written several plays, and every time I get to a moment where I have my own kind of personal doubts or sadness or depression or whatever you might want to call it, and I'm saying to myself, man, what can I do in order to not just help myself but potentially help others?
Right.
And I said, what about the story of the thing that helped me when I was coming up, that helped to ground me when I was having those difficult things as a young man? And things weren't as easy back then, right? There weren't therapists abounding all over the place. It wasn't all that stuff. So what was the area? And for me, it was hip hop, man. It was everything that had to do with hip hop. Not just the music, not the lyrics, all of that stuff.
Yeah, so let's get into where you were born and raised, and how'd you come into this love of hip hop?
I was born in Jamaica, the country.
Yeah.
And I came to the United States as a baby. And when I came to the United States, obviously my family and everyone else in my growing up was Jamaican. Like, I don't mean like Jamaican, like kind of Jamaican, like our entire family, everything about it, the way you ate, the way we talked, the way everything was about the Jamaican. And obviously that culture instills a lot of ethics, hard work, and of dealing with people appropriately. And so I totally loved it. So when I came to the United States, I came to New York. So I lived a little bit of my time growing up in Brooklyn, and then we moved out to Long Island. So we lived out to Roosevelt, Long Island. And so for those in the audience that don't know what Roosevelt, Long Island is, or what does it mean, let's think about Dr. Julius Erving. Think about Public Enemy. You think about Eddie Murphy. You think about those individuals who had an impact on our society. I'm just going to name a few. There's some others like Howard Stern. I'm just naming a few of people who've come from those. And so being there really helped me to not only see what was happening in real time, what was occurring, because it's not, it's like 20 miles from the city, and I live in Atlanta, and 20 miles is like around the corner. And so it was like 20 miles from the city. But it also gave me an appreciation of the fact that there were so many ways for us to tell our stories.
Yeah.
And growing up, our stories were being suppressed. I didn't even realize this, brother, until maybe 15 years ago, but there was a time growing up where we used to all get musical instruments, like at the first day of school.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then one day that just stopped. It had to be 70s, maybe latter 70s, early 80s. That just stopped. We could probably politically say why that stopped, but I mean, but when that stopped, the cool thing for me was that the music kept going. Brothers
Yeah.
and sisters around me were like, so what? We still going we still gonna make music. And for me, when I was young, we went to Coney Island.
Hmm.
Anyone who's familiar with New York, you know, Coney Island at the edge of New York. So we go there, and this is like at a summer camp kind of thing. So we go
Okay.
there, and there's one of these rides. You know, these rides you should get on. They would go up and down and up and around and up and down. You were like, it was not really a ride. It's really you just sitting down. But what they were playing was a song called "Rapper's Delight," and I didn't understand why everyone was crowded around that really boring ride. So like, why were they all just everyone was bored, just hanging around this ride, and people were dancing to this song,
Yeah.
and I was like, yo, that song, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand it. I understand us. I understood why
All
those
right.
people were doing it. And ever since then, man, that was it. That I would like to say that I was immersed and I was at every single thing, but being in that area and being around it and being in the wake of
Right.
the bomb of hip hop was phenomenal.
So when did you start writing? Like, you know, maybe just writing and then writing plays. Was it like a young thing that just kind of carried on and transitioned?
I've been a writer for as long as I've been around. You know,
Mm,
growing up, I was editor. I was the kind of the semi nerdy kid who would write all the stuff for the school. So I would be that kid. But I'd also write my own stories. I'd write my own short stories. I'd write my own comic books and then try to sell them. I would do all of those things. I would be that kind of guy who would write everything like that. And then as you get older, get to a certain point, you have children and all of that. But then about, I would say, probably in my early, right after my son was born,
mhm.
something triggered for me and said, you know
Right.
what? What do I want my life to be? I want my life to be me being at a place and that be the legacy of what I've done? Or do I want to make sure that I continue to be myself? And that's when
Right.
I really started to write plays again. I had to learn a lot. Let's put it this way. I had to learn a lot about how to do it, structure to do it. And I would recommend to anybody who, if you're really down to do a thing, to take some kind of instruction figure out how to start to do it. And so I did a lot of that. And
Good.
then I started writing, and then we started doing a lot of workshops. And then eventually, this is where the line of challenge came for me is that in the writing of plays world, there's sort of like gates, like how you are. If you're making your own hip hop song, right? You make your song, you go to the booth, you do it all, you got it all, and you finish the track or the tracks for the album, etc.
Right.
But then there's a gate, right? There's like people say, well, I don't know if you like, if we like this, or you gotta put this over here and then wait
The
for
A&R.
somebody.
Yeah.
That's right, to see if it's cool or not cool, or if you what should you do. And in the case of writing plays, I had done so many of that for so long. I said, forget it, man. I'm just gonna produce them. I'm
Right.
doing it. I'm just gonna do it. There's
So
examples of people who do that all the time, but I said I'm just gonna start doing it. And so that's a little bit of the journey. I was like I tried to take a long journey, try to make it really
right.
short. But that's been a bit about my journey when it comes to writing and really creating our stories and my story.
All right. So let's get into this because people lyrics, right? This play. So is it kind of autobiographic? Like were you a rapper, DJ, dancer, graph writer, any of the culture elements that made you, say, all right, I'm not maybe not good at that, but I'm good at writing it for the world. Some people sometimes have that, that idea.
I made a joke recently that growing up where I grew up, like everybody was a rapper.
Yes, that's true.
we would sit in the car for long periods of time, just
Yeah,
freestyle, just freestyle,
yeah,
whatever was on our mind.
that's true.
And I know I was good at it because I'm doing it for a while. It's going to be good. One of the things I think about with this story, and you asked me the question about whether it's autobiographical. I have to be very frank that yes and yes. And the reason why the second yes is that's not just autobiographical of Winston, it's autobiographical of a whole bunch of people that I've seen in my life. It's not a blow by blow of my life. There's snippets of nothing in the story happened to me directly, but
Yeah,
there are parts of the story that was what I grew up with, what I saw that I infused into the story. And there are
right.
also people that I grew up with and people that I knew of they are parts of them are in the story. So I tried to take a lot of what I've seen, all of the good and some of the bad, and say, what is it? What do these characters mean? And
Right.
what are they trying to accomplish? And who are they? And I had a good teacher one time tell me that any story that you ever write has parts of you in it.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about this. I feel about it because there's no one character. There's the bad guy in the story, or what's conceived as the bad guy or the antagonist. It's something he does in it that I might have done or said or something. Or something that someone of the lady characters say that is something I heard someone that I grew up with say.
So let's
So I
let's
put all that snippets in there, and that's kind of how that's kind of how the meld of the whole story came about.
so I wanted to delve into Solomon Bell, right? So kind of like introduce us to Solomon Bell. Is there some meaning behind the name Solomon, and then is there some meaning behind the name Bell? Because you know how writers are; they got these Easter eggs in there, metaphors. How did you get to that particular name?
It's interesting because Solomon's family is from the West Indies, like mine's is, right? So
Mhm.
for those of us know that there's Jamaica was a British whatever for many years. So many people have names that are very English sounding. And so I said, what's a sort of an English name that people would resonate? Like, yeah, this dude's family would pick that for him.
Mm.
And so that's where the Solomon came. The Bell is a fascinating story. I wrote another play called Jet Blacks, and it's based off of young people, college age people who have to deal with coming out of a pandemic, but they all go to their favorite bar down in the village in New York City, and something happens to the bar, etc. But the main character in that story, his name is Bell as well. So it's sort of like, for those who don't know, it's like in Winston's head, it's almost like a prequel of Jet Blacks in a way.
Nice,
And
nice,
so if people see it, they'll probably say towards the end of it, it's things that when you see Jet Blacks, you say, "Oh, that's who they were talking about." So I took elements of that story and said, "All
nice.
right, so who are some of the characters? Can I take some of the cool parts of that story, including the name of Bell, which was was kind of the challenge and the character who's the protagonist of the whole story, and bring that forward and make that the main character here." And Solomon Bell is starts off as what you would prototypically say is like a nerd kind of guy. The guy who was beat up and bullied in school. But he's not that. He's more layered than that because he loves hip hop and he loves it for his reasons that you'll find out in the story. And he doesn't love it because he just loves it because of some surface reasons. He
Right.
really genuinely loves it. And through that, a lot of the things that he encountered in school starts to happen in the play. And so he has to not only encounter the stuff that happened in school, but now he has to encounter them in real life. And how does he use, or how can he use his love of his music, just like he did in school, to navigate through the bullies, etc. How can he use his love of his music to navigate through his real life situation.
Yeah,
And
it's
yeah.
I think it's interesting because me being a teacher, I teach middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and it's cool they're all in the same class together. And I teach music production, TV, and film.
Wow.
And what's so interesting about it is when you got kids and they're trying to figure it out, and they're doing these things, right? So we're doing music in class. They love doing it. They love watching it. They love watching film, TV. You know, they're on their phones all day. But
Right.
what's so dope about the lyrics play is the fact that they can see an outcome of somebody doing it. So
Yeah.
sometimes they can't put the pieces of the puzzle together or the bridge. So I
That's right.
believe what's dope about the play is they can go, I want to do it. Oh, but now I see a reason why I should be doing it with the play. I see a reason how this will benefit me. And okay, like Solomon, you know,
Yeah.
this is how he can release. I can release these thoughts. This is how I can release this anguish. This is how I can release this happiness. So I think this play is going to be very impactful on the basis of kids seeing a route. You know, they need a route. They can have all the skills. You could be a good basketball player, football player,
Right.
whatever it is. But if you don't have the how, which the play gives you, hey, here's the how. You do it. I think that's what's so
Yeah.
dope about it.
And can I just add, the add to that is that the story is obviously an homage to our culture,
Right.
but it also wants to make sure, at least from my perspective, about how truly powerful hip hop is. And there are people in this world who don't understand hip hop. You know, sometimes hip hop has been usurped by our own capitalistic nature. Like we
Yeah.
all love when growing up, like, yo, we love to make sure we had on the nice stuff, we had on the nice shoes, we had on the nice this and that. I think it's been, in some cases, been perceived that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
And
connotation
so,
of it, the connotation of like rap. Like I feel like going into meetings and when we're presenting such great ideas as such as yours, we're going in there and we're like, we got this idea for hip hop, this hip hop play, this hip hop curriculum, this hip hop this, and they're automatically going rap. And they're thinking
that's
of
right.
what some of that is. And it's like, well, okay, rap is under the umbrella, but there are other ways that we rap. There are other, there's other messages that we can do with rap. So sometimes, you know, rap can get a bad rap based on the fact that sometimes people only see one thing, which is why this play I feel is important.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I also feel that the bad rap that we get, for whatever reason, is part of what hip hop is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the people who are telling their stories, regardless of how profane they may be saying it or whatever they're saying, they're telling their story from their hood.
Yeah.
They're telling the story. They're telling the story about what they're afraid of, what they feel is their goal, whether it's just the acquisition of personal stuff, whatever that might be, or whether it's acquisition of people,
Yeah.
like, getting with girls or dudes. But that's how they feel.
Yep.
That's where they're coming from. You don't have to dig it, but as opposed to other genres of music, this one is really about everyone, everywhere, telling their story.
Right. So why did you choose it's 1987 time period, right? Why 1987?
Yeah, this is definitely the aging of Winston part of this time together. Brother. To me, I think about, for many of us, we have that moment in life where it seems like everything makes sense for a short period of time,
Yeah.
or there's this one trigger and says, "What is it?" And for me, 1987, I deem it as the golden age of hip hop. There's a whole bunch of people, probably including yourself, that could debate me whether that's true or not. But from my perspective, it's like,
I'm 12. I'm 12 in 87. So hey, it is what it is.
yes. And that's my perception. And there was a lot of great music that happened at that time. But at the same time, that wasn't the only thing that was happening in the world at that time.
Right.
The crack epidemic was
Mm.
raging hardcore at that time. You know, there was starting to be a decent amount of awareness about HIV, AIDS that were occurring at that
Yeah.
time. So there were things that are occurring, at least in my brain, my 17-year-old brain, that was saying to itself, "Oh gosh, this is a lot happening. How do
Right.
we handle this?" And the music that happened at that time, hip hop, and even a lot of other music, is, for my opinion, has stood the test of time. It really has. You know, there's a few exceptions. You know, every hip hop lover is a snob on some level, but all of the songs, but a lot of songs at that time, to me, that stood the test of time. You play a lot of them now. There's for example, I created a playlist on Spotify that your audience can go check right now. There's lyrics that's based off of the play, and it takes a lot of the songs from 1987. You
Right.
know, whether it's Slick Rick or PE, Public Enemy doing their thing, or KRS-One, and all of those, Rakim, and all of those who were at that moment, that if you play any one of those songs right now in a club, no matter where you are, people gonna know what it is.
Yep.
Rob Bass, It Takes Two. There's like, you can just go through the whole list of songs, and those songs will go, a 15-year-old right now would be, or in their house, they hear that song and they go, "Oh, I got it. I'm digging it. I'm ready to do it." And the reason why I picked it, because for not only all of those reasons, but to me, it was kind of a crucial point in the United States, in my opinion. A lot of things have happened since then. You know,
Yeah.
there's socioeconomic things that have happened since then. I'm making a joke here a little bit, but for example, the middle class is gone since then, for the most
Yeah.
part. I'm doing a bit of a hyperbole, but you get it. It's just things
Yeah.
changed. The government we had at that time is very, very difficult. I went to try to go to college, as an example. I got accepted into NYU and to St. John's. I'm so glad I went to St. John's.
Yeah.
But where do my parents, immigrants who got here not too long earlier, who have two nickels to rub together, where do they get money for me to go to college? Where do I
Right.
get it? And at that time, that the government was like, "Well, forget it. You're not getting any money." This is just an example of all of the things that swirled around in this
Yeah.
wonderful time, in my opinion. It was wonderful. Like, I would, and despite all the stuff I'd say, you go
Yeah.
on Friday night, you would go to a party at Hunter College in Manhattan, and you hear house music, and you would just be in love with house music. You would just
Man.
hear all
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
you just, you would just, it was just a wonderful time, in my opinion, to be alive. And to me, this to me is a great time for 4 or 5 young people in this story to say to themselves, "What do we do next? Is it
Right.
going to college? Is it going to the military? Is it doing nothing? Like, what is it?" I grew up around people who didn't do anything, and you would
Mm.
see them 20 years later, and they'd still be at the same spot they were when you were in high school, like physically at the same spot. That's the
Yeah.
reason why I chose to play it. I think people will dig it, because I think you can understand the references. You can understand the music. You can understand the clothes. You can understand a lot that's going on at the time. So I
Yeah.
think whether you're 20 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, you won't understand.
That was my next question. Like, really, how come it was so important? I know you got freestyle in there, fashion, boom
Mhm.
boxes, so you're making sure you have the props in there that represent that time. Also, going back a little bit on what you said with picking like a Slick Rick and Public Enemy, what I think is synonymous with what the play is about. This message is in there.
Yeah.
Messages in the music. This play has a message. So message music and message musicals are very important for us to have. So so when you're crafting it, are you thinking of, okay, I gotta have this element in there, I gotta have the freestyles, I gotta have fashion, boom boxes, the detail elements of it? How much did you put into that?
I put a lot of it in, and I put a lot of it in even after I'd finished writing the first version of it.
Right.
So this play has had 3 workshops, and for those who don't understand workshops, like, I would have some actors read the play aloud, and then I would gauge what it looks like. I'd have an audience listening to what they're doing, and then I would say, "Man, did I miss something, or is this too much? Is whatever I'm in here? Do people understand this particular reference?" So there are things in there that only people who grew up at the time may understand, and that was intentional. Who was around that area? But then there's other things that everybody would understand, that everybody would get. And one thing I'm very cautious of trying to do is that this play is not a caricature of hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is a viewpoint of hip hop, and so there are aspects in it. There are the music. There's some fashion. There are things like truck jewelry that characters will wear.
Yeah.
But I don't. This is not a costume party. This is about the love of our story and our culture and our music, and then all the things that circled around it. You know, breakdancing and graffiti and all of these other things that were super duper critical to what we do. And quite frankly, I have to say this. I mean, I don't really care how your audience feels about this, but hip hop is kind of taking over the world,
Oh, definitely.
the whole world.
Definitely.
I tell you, where did I go? I went to Ghana recently. Nothing but graffiti. There's dope graffiti in Ghana. Went to
Yeah.
Panama a little while ago. Panama got graffiti and hip hop references everywhere. I mean, and that's just two examples, but everywhere you go.
Yeah, definitely. So my question would be, because when you did these workshops, so now you're doing the workshops, you're saying, too much or less, more, you're gauging it. What is that revision process like for you when you're kind of at home after the workshop? How is your revision process?
My view is always to cut first,
Okay.
versus add more. Like what is something that someone says? Is there a more clear way to say it?
Mm,
Does this what this character says, does this require a monologue, or is it something that can be chopped up a little bit? Usually that's my first viewpoint on it. I don't
gotcha.
necessarily say, "Oh, well, let me go ahead and put in a reference," unless the reference makes sense. So, for example, there's a character in the story that is the DJ, and the DJ is telling one guy about some of the equipment he has. And so I said, what? I all of us went, we were all in the booth. But I was trying to remember like some of the drum machines and some of the things that we used when we were in the booth. I was like, man, I can't remember what it was. And so I had to go in and research and remember. I was like, that's what that Fender Stratocaster was. And then so I had to remember what the thing was in order to do it. Now, will everybody in the audience get it? No, but there will be somebody who was a DJ and a producer at the time. We'll be like, yeah, that's what I got that. I figured
Yeah.
that out. When I had the most recent workshop, there was several people from like the Bronx that came. Didn't know that I didn't even know these people from anywhere. And they came up and they shook my hand and they were like, "Yo, they were like giving me examples of the stuff that was in the play." I was like, "All right, cool."
Yeah.
I was like, once they did that, I was like, "Man, I got it. I think I got most of it. Is it perfect? Probably something
Yeah.
missing." But that was like, if these brothers come up here and giving me this love, then that tells me that damn, I got it pretty close. It really is.
Yeah, and I think that's dope because there's definitely going to be validation from people that have lived that time period, have been there. They're looking for these little things, these little nuances and little ways to say, okay, when I leave here, I can go tell other people about that, because word of mouth is going to be the number one thing, right? So if they see it and they go, yo, you need to go check out lyrics, man. Yo, it had this in it. It might not even be nothing about the cast, nothing about anything else. Yo, he had the boombox on stage. Yo, he had the turntable on stage. When I walked in, they might just point at those elements sometimes, and that what captures people's heart. So how long did it take for you to write it?
When I get serious about writing a play, I use a methodology where I try to write at least one page a day. That sounds simple, write 1 page a day. But if you do it most plays, most regular sized plays are about 90 pages. Lyrics is a little bit less than that. 90 pages, 90 days, boom, you're done.
Mhm.
Do I write 1 page a day? No. But when I start to write 1 page, it turns into 4 pages. But I have to have like a micro goal in order for me to get going. In the case of lyrics, the very first workshop we did, I had most of Act 1 and part of Act 2 completed.
Okay.
The response from that was so overwhelming that between then and the next month, the whole thing was done. So to me, if I had to put a number on it, it probably took me maybe a month to do it.
Nice.
And so that to me, the revision thing that we talked about earlier, and like I said, I'm not sitting there rewriting stuff. I hate rewriting my play. If I loved it when I wrote it, then I love it again. I don't. If it's bad, then that's the end of it. I ain't doing nothing no more. So I don't really want to continue to rewrite a thing. But in this case, the response was so overwhelming. I felt energized by the workshop and the
Right.
next workshop and the next workshop because it was like, yo, I gotta see it. When is it coming? That kind of thing. And that's how I think about how long it took me to do that. So some plays have taken me longer to do
Yeah.
because they are 90. The play I referenced earlier, Jet Blacks, that play, since it's based off of the first version of it was based right after like 9/11, like maybe 10 years after 9/11.
Okay.
And I did indeed rewrite some of it based on what was going on through the pandemic. But that play was about 140 pages that
Mm.
I trimmed off to actually do it at 90 pages. So that play had lots of extra scenes. And quite frankly, for those of you who are writers out there, don't beat yourself up. If you write more stuff, that's okay. That
Yeah.
just gives you more things in the background to think about. Like the whole thing I talk about where lyrics is a quasi prequel. If I didn't write all of that other stuff for Jet Blacks, it might not have given me the idea to do that. So that's kind of how long it takes me. So for those of you out there, 1 page a day is kind of an easy way to think about it, or one scene a week as another philosophical way to think about it. Don't drive yourself nuts. Don't over outline stuff. Don't say, "Oh, let me just make sure I got the every single bit in the middle and bits and pieces in the middle." If you do want something that's an outline, it's easy to figure out. Go get Blake Snyder's "Save the Cat," which is a way you would use for writing screenplays. You can use the same philosophy for writing theater plays. But do not waste time sitting there trying to get every beat of the outline finished before you start writing stuff. Start
Right.
writing the play or the story.
So, what's your atmosphere for when you're writing? Nighttime, daytime, lights, dark room. What's your atmosphere?
When years ago, when I really started to re-immerse myself in the writing, I needed a lot of music going. I needed and the genre of music was less important of the fact that, besides the fact that it had to be music, like it had to be something going on. And because quite frankly, all kinds of genres of music inspire me to write. They just
Right.
do, whatever they are. And so I needed that. I was like, I just can't write something just in quietness. I can't do that. That's not how my brain works. So I wouldn't turn it on particularly loud, but I would turn it on enough because I don't know, maybe there's some kind of brain thing that happens when you listen to music. You're focused on your thing versus just like listening to the song. I do try to sometimes think about songs that are less less intense sometimes, that are more like melodic, if you will.
Mhm.
Because one thing I'm writing and then somebody be like, yeah, in the middle of my thing, it might throw me off.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as the environment, the atmosphere, I've gotten better at not having have a specific atmosphere. Like, I'm a night person, day person. I guess I'm more of a night person.
Yeah.
But there are times where I could actually go ahead and just write, wherever I am, whether it's in a coffee shop, whether it's in a plane, whether it's, just in the park somewhere. So I've gotten a lot better at that. I
Yeah.
do say that don't let the atmosphere be the impediment to you doing it. You know, uh, I do things like I let people in my household know that I'm about to write, so I don't
Okay.
get like an incessant amount of distractions. I do things to my phone where I will turn off the distractions, or sometimes the phone itself, in order to because as we know, our phones could ping all day long if we let it. And so I try to do those kind of things. And then the last thing I do is I set a timer. So I set a timer of a minimum of something. So if my day says I only got half an hour to write, then that's what my timer is. It says I only got 15 minutes to write, then I set the timer for 15. And sometimes if it's an hour, I'll set the timer for an hour. And then I'll block it and I say, this is it. I'm just doing this for this period of time. And that is way harder than it sounds. Like I'm making it sound like it's so easy. It's set a timer. These
Right.
days, that is not easy to just set a timer and to just be focused on anything for a period of time. But I know writing is important, so that's why I do it. And I think the timer, all of our devices do that. So just
Yeah.
tell your device, say, hey, device, set a timer for X amount of time and just start. And do not beat yourself up, for gosh sakes. I used to do this a lot where I would self-edit myself while I'm writing, as opposed to just writing the thing and then keep writing it and then keep writing it. So I'd self-edit, I'm writing. Oh, did that sentence sound right? And then
Yeah.
stop to see if that sentence sounds right. You won't get things as phenomenal as you will. Now, for some people, an atmosphere is unbelievably important. Like I know for some people, they just have to be in a calm, serene environment where nothing else going on. But for me, if I'm digging what I'm writing, then a lot of times the story is creating the atmosphere. I still need that music though. I still gotta have that music. Look at with headphones if there's too much going on. I think I gotta have the music though.
You're making the case for a lot of students out there because in schools, kids want to have music on, do homework with headphones on, and then you got people that are like, how you going to concentrate with that music on, and you got to do this and that, and so you have that conflict is going on within education a lot of times, depending on who you are, what you like, but you're making the case for like it actually can provide some sense of motivation and comfort,
When I was
so
going to grad school, I have a master's here from a school in Georgia. That the work was so intense and so difficult that I had to, and sometimes I had to turn up the music in order to drown whatever other thoughts I had in my own head going. So I could just focus on the thing. So I was like, sometimes I'd have to turn it on louder than usual so I could really figure out what the heck this statistics thing was trying to get me to figure out what it was trying to get me to do. Or what was this thing where I'm trying to figure out the PE ratio of this business? And it was like,
right.
or what was this Harvard case trying to tell me? Maybe I'm weird. Maybe that shouldn't be the case for others. But for me, it really is a driver for it. As long as you don't let the music distract you in a way. If it's the kind of songs that will distract you. If I'm trying to write or trying to do my schoolwork, I can't play a music that's gonna make a song that's gonna make me jump up and want to dance because I'm doing my work. so I need some other. So I need some other songs that I just like, but the ones that there's songs that we all have that when we hear it, we gonna stop what we're doing and we gotta feel like we gotta dance.
Yeah.
For me, I couldn't play those because then I wouldn't.
So speaking of like music, so how about the beats for the play, the production of, did you produce, do you make beats? How'd you get all of this put together musically, sonically?
So if you go to my YouTube page, all of the music that's on the YouTube page for lyrics, every single bit of music, I made it.
Nice.
So for our full production here, I always believe hip hop music is a collaborative game. And so we've got a couple of brothers who are producing things right now. Some of them are really well known. Just really well known producers. Because there's a scene inside of the play where I won't take away, I won't give, like everybody, you gotta come see the play. I won't tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's a part there where you be like, yeah, this part here is great. And so I'm actually collaborating with some hip hop producers to help on that piece. This is a
And then,
challenging part for me because
Mhm.
I am the writer, I'm the producer. I know what the beat is. I know the beat in my head is already done. It's like it's already done.
Yeah.
And I will spend entire days in my little Winston lab just making music for this play or for any other play. This is not. I want to caution everyone here that's listening. This is not a musical in the same sense that you'd go to see other plays. Hip hop is infused into the stories and what the characters are doing, and there's moments where they need to do a hip hop song, and every scene in and out has it. And then there's actual thing, but numbers. But it's not a number like every other something somebody says. All of a
Right.
sudden, let's break out into a let's start rhyming. To
Yeah.
me, to me, I know that worked in other very famous theatrical productions, and I'm thankful for them because I love anything that can shine a light on the fringes of hip hop music, rap music, so all of those kind of things. But it's not one you go, oh yeah, and this next scene they're gonna rhyme. Next scene they're gonna rhyme. No, they're gonna rhyme, but they're gonna rhyme when it's important to rhyme in the story. like
Yeah.
when it 100% makes sense to do it in the actual way it's crafted because that's how what we do. I shared that we would get together with my brothers and we would freestyle in the car, or we'd have brothers who would rhyme on the corner. But that wasn't just because we just felt like it. That was just because an energy or a vibe came through us and said, "Now is the time to do that." It wasn't. It's not like a musical. Like I've been to many Broadway musicals where people they sing the song in lieu of the writing of a story, which is not bad. That's what it is. It's a musical. And it's just different. This is something where it's musicality and it's culturalness that's important. So you're gonna dig it because there's gonna be parts in there where you're gonna be surprised. Like, oh, now's that time. Here it is. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I always felt this thing. I don't know. Growing up in school, when I don't know what age it was when they told us how a story was created where you got the intro, the rising action, the climax, and then the falling action. And then when you write stories, you understand that there's this inciting incident, which is this incident that happens that changes all of the characters' perspective for the rest of the story. All of those things happen in this play, and all of those happen, and that's what drives them to say, you know what? Now's the moment. So people in the audience are gonna be like, bam, damn, I'm so glad I was here for that.
Yeah.
I am so glad that this is the moment for that.
So what are some keys you would give to somebody as far as what is storytelling as far as some tips on a good storytelling? How would somebody know that they may be on their way in the right direction writing or they got something that's good?
Think about yourself a little bit. Think about who you are. Like think about what what hurts you or what you're afraid of or what you're excited about and what's inspirational to you. Do the elements of any one of those things are there inside of the story that you're crafting? And if the answer is no, then that story may not drive you enough, get you where you need to be. You might be writing it for somebody else, maybe, but it's not your story. It's not. So think about who you are, and not saying that your story has to be who you are, but does any one of those elements in there are part of the story? When you get to it, when you think about writing it, does this story at any point make you smile?
Yeah.
Does any point of the story where it makes you get emotional? And for me, if either one of those two elements happen in any time I'm writing a story, then I feel like I'm onto something. Then I'm feeling I'm getting beyond just the layer of, then Bob said this to Paul, and Paul said this thing to Jack, and then Jack said something to Tina, and then there's those. Now I'm in a place
Yeah.
where I'm saying, how do I feel, or how are they feeling about it? And I know that there's this theory about researching, and you should, especially if you're doing anything historical, and I don't mean like historical, I mean like when you grew up historical. I mean historical like 1945, like that where nobody was around, then none of
Yeah.
us were around. There's no 14, so or 1822. Those things require a lot of research in order to be able to do those things right. So think about that, and think about what is the incident that drives the characters to solve their problems. What is the incident that happens in the Jet Black story that I was mentioning earlier? The incident that happened in order to bring these young people together happened before the play even was started. But it brought them all together because it changed their lives in significant way. What is it that's going to change your character's life? And what is the journey that they're on in the story? If your character is not on any journey, and this doesn't mean you have to physically go on like a Lord of the Rings thing. This just means that they have to go on a journey. They could be sitting in the same room and the whole play and go on a journey. But if they're not, then you may not be having what you need there. All of us, every single meeting, every single conversation, every single thing that we do, every talk with any other human being changes us.
Yeah.
It just does. And if your character is not changed by talking to other human beings, then you may find that the audience can perceive that is not what you're not on to something. Every single meeting, every single scene, everyone's trying to win. Make sure that in every single bit of your story, that your character is on a journey. It might be not a great journey. They might be going to who knows. They might be going to a bad place. But
Right.
wherever it is, they're going there, and you've got to make sure that's in there. So those, I know there's a decent amount of tidbits, but those are the way I
That's
think about
great.
it.
That's great.
The way
So
I think.
let's tell me about the cast. So
Woohoo! You got me super duper
yeah,
duper excited. Ooh, gosh, this is the most
let's go.
phenomenal cast. Oh my gosh. Oh, woohoo! It's a whole thing. So I'll start it with this way. My son is one of the cast members, and my son, I love him to death. When he was born, I was the first human being besides the doctor to hold him, and ever since then, he has been so important in my life. So he plays one of the characters in the story. I'm kind of raising it up for everybody that's out there. I'm trying to give you, I'm just trying to, a brother I've known for 25 years. His name is Larry Durham. He is a phenomenal actor here in Atlanta, a fantastic comedian. We worked together for a number of years. When I did one of my very first workshops 20 years ago, I needed to find some actors. I called him up. I said, Larry, would you be in the show? He said, yeah, I'll be in the show. I said, Winston, by the way, why don't I just get all of the actors for you? What a phenomenal brother. He is so great. You will love his character. His character will make you like your heart's going to beat when you hear that. When you hear him. We got Jasmine Honey. She is the owner of an organization called the Creators Brand, where she brings in various creators from all over the country together to network. If you get any of her merch, it's like, for example, her favorite merch that I own is like "Writer is a real job," and so she's got that for every single other of the other type of things that we'll do: producing, directing, YouTubing, whatever it is that you do. She's got something for you. She's a great actor, a model. She is phenomenal. Whew. I'm so looking forward to her being in this. Michelle Taylor Willis, she is an author. She is the CEO of a newspaper here in Atlanta called Soul Food Lifestyle. She is, and also a COO, I believe, of Gagnet Media. She is, she's a public speaker. She's been on places like the Tamron Hall Show. She has a book called Raising Significant, where she talks about raising her 4 boys, and especially through the pandemic time. She is a powerhouse. She does public speaking all day long, on top of all the other stuff that I said. And
Yeah.
and having her to be our lead, our lead character here, or our lead female character here, has been phenomenal. You've got Cornelius Jefferson. Cornelius Jefferson is a man of God. He owns a company called the Royal Dramatics, which he teaches other young people how to learn and how to grow in their own acting skill. He and his family have been there for me when I had when I officially said, I'm going to do my own producing. I'm not going to wait for these other people to say yes to Winston. I'm going to do it. Cornelius, can you get down? Yes, I can get down. He's one of the best people that I know. He really is so wonderful. And so for many of you out there, you know this brother's name. As soon as I say this name, for those in Atlanta, they're definitely going to know. He is, I call him ATL's finest. His name is Jason C. Louder. He is a phenomenal actor. He's been in TV shows like BMF, Black Lightning, Wu-Tang, American, I forgot what they call the tagline of the Wu-Tang
Yeah,
show.
Saga.
Yeah, Saga. That was on Netflix. He is so great. He is a person that, well, I'm telling you, as soon as you get him, everybody in the room's they're gonna light up. He is phenomenal. So to have someone like of his nature that is such a rising star in our industry is just a great thing to have. And we also have things that other people don't have in place sometimes. So we have a dramaturg, and a dramaturg helps to make sure that I've got all of the little bits and pieces associated with the world that I'm thinking about it. So we've got a Kennedy nominated dramaturg named Carol Welter from England, who is helping us to drive that. And she is phenomenal. Our stage manager, Nicole Davis, has worked on various projects and works with various musical acts all throughout the day in their production. She is great. Bridget Roberts, I've known forever. Bridget Roberts is helping with a lot of our production here. Bridget Roberts is a person that knows, and I don't mean this lightly, she knows so many human beings. And she has been great to help us get a lot of this produced. As well as, I didn't say the name of those producers earlier on purpose. So you're going to have to watch out. You're going to have to go to lyricstoplay.com on IG, etc. to make sure. So I want to make sure that's out there to announce it. So when you come on August 30th at 8 p.m., this is one thing I'll say, brother, here. I want to make this as an experience in such a unique way. So we're going to have a brother here named DJ Leo, who recently did a session for our character, who is the DJ in the show. He did like let me teach you how to DJ thing, which we streamed on IG. So if you get there early and you get your tickets, you may have a chance to get a mini course on how to be a DJ. So you gotta come, man. If you ever want to be a DJ, you gotta come to see that. You can't miss that thing. I was like, yo, so we're gonna have these kind of elements in there, in my view, where it's not just about how awesome the play is, but also a celebration of our story. And our story is hip hop. So what a great cast. I could talk about them forever, man, because they are just I've had so many phenomenal casts in my life. These folks are
It sounds phenomenal. So I read your bio, and it also, when reading your bio, it talked about how being creative, and then also how it kind of motivates you also while dealing with multiple sclerosis. It reminded me of one of my dearest friends, Master Ace. Also, he deals with that, and he came out talking about that as well.
really?
And
I didn't know
and he also has a song called The Fight Song, talking about it. It's him and Pharoah Monch.
Oh yeah.
And they're talking about it from a metaphor. So
Oh.
Ace is talking about he's not going to let it happen, and Pharoah Monch is actually acting like the disease. So yeah, it's an incredible video to watch. And when you get a chance, The Fight Song, Master Ace and Pharoah Monch. So can you kind of elaborate on how that like fuels you to do what you do and how it motivates you?
Sure. I don't know how much people are familiar with multiple sclerosis, but it is a neurological disease in which your own body attacks you when you're as a way to try to fight your immune system.
Right.
So when it does that, it releases or it takes some of the nerve endings off of certain parts of your body. What they call unsheathing your nerve endings. And if you don't treat that and it's taking it off, then your disease gets worse and worse. There are several people who have. One thing I found out with multiple sclerosis, if I had to label it, I'd call it like a snowflake disease, because no one has exactly the same symptoms. So, like in a lot of diseases, you can say definitively, well, if you have this disease, and that means X is going to happen. There are some people that I know of who have multiple sclerosis who can't walk, or they have optic neuritis where it affects their vision, or they have significant cognitive impairment.
Yeah.
They have all of those things. I have a visible change in my gait, my walk, that I try to mitigate with a cane. But beyond that, I feel honored or blessed, if you will, that I don't have some of the other things that other people have.
Yeah.
But what I do have, and this is a consistent thing with most people who have multiple sclerosis, is I have an unbelievable amount of fatigue. And so in the past, I used to be the person who could get up and get 35 things done. Ain't no thing. 35 things. Just get stuff done. I can't do that anymore. I have to be very intentional about what I'm doing every single day. And on certain days, I have to understand when that fatigue wall hits, it hits. It just hits. And so the way it fuels me is that I have to, going back to being intentional, I have to segment my days in a way where, as opposed to in the past, where I could have a writing session for a long period of time, I have to use that timer thing I talked about earlier in order for me to get something through. Because I know if I try to write longer than a certain amount of time, the fatigue wall is going to have its way. It's
Right.
going to, and so I can't do it that way. But I do feel that there are times where I am writing and when I'm creating, whether it's the music, whether I'm in my little Winston lab, or whether I'm writing a story, where I don't know that I have a disease.
Yeah.
I just can't tell, because the creative brain that I've been given by the universe is telling me this is the only thing that matters right now
Yeah.
is this story. And whatever else I feel or pain that I have in my shoulder or my neck or my back, whatever, I can't tell.
Yeah.
I'm all in this thing.
Yeah.
I'm all in here. And then in those moments, and this is the way I just feel so thankful, is that I go, oh my gosh, I did not know that. I did not know that this time elapsed. I blew past the timer 5 times. I couldn't tell. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell at all. And then, yeah, the fatigue wall then hits then, but still, I go through it, and here's how I feel about this. The day I learned I had multiple sclerosis, I felt like there was a time clock on my life. Like, a lot of us don't know our day that we're not going to be here until that day comes.
Yeah.
We're just doing things. And I felt like there was a timer. Oh, this is a metaphor today, that there was a timer associated with my life. But what I've come to find out is that that timer was just as good as the timer, or just as valuable as the timer I use when I'm writing my story. That timer was a fuel to get up and get going. That timer was like, hey, dude, whatever you've been procrastinating on, which is not much, but whatever it is, there's no time to procrastinate.
Right.
There's time to now get up and do it, and to do it every day. There's bits and pieces, because no one's time is infinite.
Yeah.
Every one of us has a time. We just sometimes just don't know it. So as bad as it was, I've taken kind of like, yo, this is fuel. I've been giving like energy by the fact that I know I got to get stuff going. I just know it. I got to get something going. I don't know. I haven't had any progression in my symptoms since I was diagnosed 3 years ago. I actually feel, quite frankly, brother, I feel more alive.
That's great. That's great.
Than I did 3 years ago. I actually feel like more energized about this life. I'm like, whoa. Because multiple sclerosis can be progressive if you don't do anything about it. But the main thing beyond medication and all of this that you can do in order to mitigate whether it's multiple sclerosis or any other thing is our attitude, my attitude.
Yeah.
And my attitude was like, am I going to love life or am I going to let life beat me down? No, my family came from Jamaica for me to love life. I'm gonna love life. My son wants me to love life. I'm gonna love life. I'm gonna do that. And that's, I'm gonna do all the things I dig. And that is, to me, you asked me earlier about one of the things that made me start to write lyrics. I can't remember which one was first. I can't remember 3 years ago, it may be in very around the same period of time. All I know is like I'm gonna tell a story about how hip hop is a beautiful thing and how it's
Yeah.
been beautiful for all of us in our lives. Are there negative things with hip hop? Yeah. Yeah. But they're reflective of our people. They're the story of our people.
So how do you want lyrics, to impact the audience?
I want the audience to say, you know what? I understood the story of those people,
Mhm.
of those young people. Now, do I love everything that they did in this story? So I'll leave that to the audience. I don't like what I like to respect my audience. If they loved one character or they loved one character more than another, I've had people tell me that they loved some character in a story. Then in my mind, I was like, wow, that wasn't my favorite character, but they loved them. So that was the thing. But I want them to say, I dig it. I understood what those young people were going through at that time. I understood it. And quite frankly, you said something very early in our conversation, my brother, is that it's relevant to today. 1987, yeah, that's the story of today. But if I took that number off and I took the references off to that time period, I could write the story. It could be about a lot of things that happened today.
Yeah.
It could be. And it's a good thing, but it's also a challenging thing. So that's almost 40 years ago, right? 1987. What was that? For 30 something years ago,
Yeah.
almost 40 years ago. I would love to say that everything has progressed 100% better. And there have been lots of things that have progressed better, but we still got a ways to go. And in hip hop, it's all of its permutations, all of the different things, all the rap music. I mean, shoot. I saw Megan Thee Stallion get on stage with Kamala Harris recently at a thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I still see some of the folks from back in the day do their thing. If I see KRS One show up on Instagram, you're gonna watch whatever he's saying. There's lots of great young talent all over the place. Do I like when I hear J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar, some of these other, Childish Gambino? There's a whole list of dope people, including the people from back in the day. Whether they were the Wu-Tang and all of, and just the thing that I love about hip hop is that I don't know if people see this, but great hip hop artists and people who've been around hip hop are multi-dimensional folks. So they may have done their thing. They may be like a brother like yourself, who's now a professor at a university. They may be on TV on The Equalizer. They may be in a movie. There's those of us who love hip hop, we are all over the world doing so many things. We just don't say, "Oh, hip hop fueled us to do all this other stuff."
Yeah.
I think that's so. I hope my love of this music and our culture comes across to your audience, brother, because it's who I am.
Well, Mr. Winston A. Wilson, I really appreciate you being here on the show. I love plays, the writing aspect of it, the creativity of it. I love seeing how it's all put together, but I felt it's very important to also have this conversation because it's based on the roots of who I am as far as hip hop. And I appreciate you taking your time, dedicating your life to writing this because it's a contribution to hip hop. And the more contributions we're able to have, it's going to make a bigger impact, not only on the terms of hip hop, but the lives, which you were saying earlier, changing the lives and giving perspectives to the youth, to the people in the world, and giving inspiration and motivation for going forward and being progressive about going forward in life and anything in any aspect that you intend to do and pursue. Is there let's get your social media, any way to contact you? Let us know.
IG Lyrics to Play. It's a fast way to get to see what we're up to. I put a lot of the bits of content out there first before I put it in other places. I've got my own at Winston A. Wilson, and on IG, easy to do that. The good thing about me is that Winston A. Wilson translates to everybody everywhere else. So if you go to X or you go to the other ones, it's the same thing. So you can see all of that, and obviously the website WinstonAWilson.com. So you can see all of those. To get tickets, go to atlantabtf.org. We are selling a lot of tickets. I hope to see all of you there. We're going to make this experience really, really fantastic. You know, the Atlanta Black Theater Festival is one of the premier festivals on the planet Earth. It's been ranked in the top 5 of any theater festival anywhere. Period. I think only the one in Edinburgh, Scotland, is closest to it. And so it's really, really a phenomenal festival. On Labor Day, it's been great to have it on Labor Day because a lot of people in town here in Atlanta on Labor Day. So it's a great way to come in and to enjoy. We're going to have a lot of that fun stuff. We're also going to be, so for those of you here in Atlanta, we're going to be doing a snippet of lyrics. We're going to do one scene here on August the 6th at the city of Fairburn. They're having a big festival out there. So we're going to be having some fun out there and to share with everybody what we're doing. But this has been great, my brother. I really, truly appreciate not just you having me on your show, but also what you're doing. Being able to teach our culture going forward, that warms my heart in so many ways. I know, you know, it was one thing that Kara said years ago. It says 50 years from now, we'll be the old school artists.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was just talking about the artists. He was talking about all of us who love.
Yeah.
He's talking about all of us who will be the old school, etc. Will be old school lovers of us.
Yeah. We are today's teachers.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. So thank you so much for having me. I look forward to everything, and I will obviously take this by heart. I'll make sure the cast, I'll make sure everyone else sees this. But again, this has been great, so I really appreciate you.
Thank you. The links will be in the description, so you guys can click right in there, go right down in the description, find all the links, all the Instagram, anything that deals with the play lyrics. Once again, thank you, Winston A. Wilson. And I ask you guys out there, what are your words worth? Peace. Sign up now at elevate.miami.edu for my course, Organized Rhyme. Looking at the word legacy, while involving some wordplay, I'll use the first syllable to build upon. We'll use the first syllable, leg. For the second syllable, we'll use an. And for the third syllable, we'll use the word knee. So now we have leg and knee. Can we use it in context with legacy? Let's just see. Wordsworth Productions with a S.com for all merch. I got 2 books available right now. Words Are Worth Volume 1, and also have a children's book called Socks. Age range from 12 to 15, so it's kind of like the middle school and high school age range, but adults can read it as well. So the Wizker, if you're into skincare, the Wizker will help prevent razor bumps and make sure you got smooth skin all around. Make sure you order it on Amazon, the Wizker. Make sure you check out Wordsworthproductions.com. There you can book me if you want to book me for shows, consultations, panels, and things of that nature. And also it'll give all the upcoming shows that I'll be attending or performing at or appearing at as well. Wordsworthproductions.com. We write plays, books, movies, anything that deals with writing and creativity. Contact us.